So I decided that maybe the best way to conclude season 1 would be to do a short reflection on the key takeaways that I walked away with from all the great episodes and speakers that we had share their stories with us in the first season. But I also wanted to reflect a little bit on my idea of community and some of the ways in which the last few months have really shown me that you can make an incredible contribution to society and to the broader narrative around community building when you engage in the type of storytelling that I'm really beginning to enjoy. So you may notice that I'm in a different location. It's because I decided to come down to Mexico for about a week as a way to de-stress, take into account the next steps of my entrepreneurial and professional journey, and also reflect on a more personal level on some of these concepts that we've been hearing from our guests in the first season. The most incredible takeaway is every now and then I find myself putting myself in uncomfortable situations on purpose. One of the keys to building community, one of the keys to really being able to learn as an individual, contributing to a greater sense of purpose and belonging, is to put yourself in uncomfortable situations. I wholeheartedly believe that. Just to take an example, in Mexico, I've been to many different places, but I find myself in a town that I've never been to before, in which I don't know anybody. It's a beautiful seaside town called Manzanillo on the west coast. Got here on my birthday, Thursday the 20th of March, and immediately noticed that my bag didn't show up. I was speaking with the airline employees. There was no Uber available for me to go to my hotel from the airport. Not the way that anybody really anticipates a birthday to turn out, but again, I was in a different setting. I had purposely put myself in this setting, so I thought to myself, now is the time to embrace being uncomfortable. As I went out and about to different restaurants, to the wonderful beaches here, I started thinking about what really brings us together. I saw families, old people, young people. I saw people from every socioeconomic background. There was I, a foreigner. I do speak the language, but of course people can tell that I'm not from around here. It's very humbling to be in that context, right, where you are the other and you know you're the other, but you're still striving to build a connection and carve your little niche and find that little home for yourself in a new place. I would encourage everybody listening who finds themselves in a similar position to embrace that feeling of being uncomfortable. Dive into it head first. Chances are that when you present yourself in the most genuine and authentic way, people will reciprocate in ways that you wouldn't have ever imagined. I was at breakfast a little while ago, and I wasn't really sure what I was looking at when I opened up the containers to see what they had on offer. So I told one of the other guests in the food line next to me, hey, I'm not Mexican, I actually don't know what this is. She very patiently explained to me what the different dishes were, what they contained, which ones she recommended. Pretty soon, I felt like I had a connection and this bond that I wouldn't have otherwise had if I had just stayed to myself and didn't partake. I think, as we heard in some of the episodes, Chanel's episode comes to mind for me. Live your truth, be yourself, be your authentic self. I reflect on Camille telling us, ask for help. Her context was more in the entrepreneurial sense, but in any aspect of life, you should be able to ask for help. You should be able to have that vulnerability. The most powerful way to push yourself into connecting, into building communities, is to just put yourself in those situations where you have to be comfortable with discomfort, with being uncomfortable. The more you do that in business, in life, in your studies, the greater return you'll see when it comes to this amazing process of building community. Aziz is probably the best example of this process. In his episode, he mentioned how he didn't know what he was getting himself into. He just got some expats together and said, hey, we should build a community. It was trial and error, and before he knew it, it had ballooned into this awesome activity that people from all over the city he was living in at the time, all the expats were able to join and really create that awesome community. So yeah, the world is an unpredictable place. Focus on being the best version of yourself and being the most genuine and authentic person that you can be. Share that positivity and energy and be willing to be vulnerable to make those connections and really see how far you can move forward. Whether that's when you're traveling, building a business, trying to reestablish connections with people that you lost touch with, or in my case, building new connections. That's all I got to say. Hopefully you found this reflection somewhat inspiring and a way for you to reflect on your own journey as an individual in society, attempting to build community or perhaps having already built community. I hope you enjoyed listening to the episodes in Season 1. If you haven't had a chance to, I highly recommend that you give those a listen. I look forward to seeing you in Season 2, which will launch very soon. Thank you again to my dear listeners for taking the time to tune in, and see you on the other side. Take care.